regards to the Rothschilds, why were the British government at the time so keen on
Very good. Very
appeasing
good
them?
question.
What's the reason behind that?
أحسنت يا حسن أحسنت. Beautiful question. Does anyone have the answer to that? It's a simple answer. It's not complicated.
'Cause
Does anyone have the answer?
I've heard different things, but haven't been able to clarify it. One thing I've heard was they own this chemical company which produce a certain chemical which is used in bombs. And obviously the war broke out and they needed ammunition. They needed to make more bombs. So it was almost like a, you know what, you supply us with this weapon and then we'll give you Palestine. But I don't know how true.
It's a very simple equation. It's not complicated.
Well, I know that in the Battle of Waterloo, they funded both sides, the French and the Brits. So, I mean, it's a common tactic of the oligarchs to fund both sides of the war. So, and there seems to be a messianic agenda at play as well with these elites as well. So, Jerusalem is center stage for that type of thing as well.
Absolutely. And by the way, this technique of funding both sides, the British also used it because they funded the Al Saud and they funded the Hashemites. And you bet on both horses, then you pick the winning horse at the end of the race. That was also what was done in Medina in the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prior to that even, when these tribes, the Jewish tribes, would finance Aus and Khazraj, the Arab tribes, finance both sides. And then when the war is over, they, the Jewish financiers who controlled the financial system, and this is a fact, let nobody be offended or shocked by this, it's a fact. They would ransom their own relatives who were captured in the war. So in effect, undoing the harm, but the Arabs were stuck in a continual, perpetual cycle of warfare amongst themselves. Aus and Khazraj continually fighting. Who was funding them? The Jewish people in Medina. So this technique is not new. It's not new at all. And Allah actually rebukes them for that in Surah Al-Baqarah. Were you not commanded not to take other Jews as captives? Yeah? But they circumvented that. So in simple terms, the reason why Britain was so keen is money. Khalas. It was finance. Okay? They had money, the Jews had money, the Rothschilds had money, and they were able to finance. It's as simple as that. Whoever has the golden rule, whoever has the gold rules, they had the money and they were able to buy politicians, they were able to buy influence, they were able to buy people in cabinets, and they utilized their resources to do exactly that. So it was a financial power that they had that made them powerful. And to this very day, it is still the financial elements. It's not a moral element, it's not a moral discussion here. That's why when we talk of it's wrong, it's bad, people need to stop. It's not a moral discussion. This is realpolitik. I know people don't like to hear it. I keep repeating. It's not about morality. It's not about right and wrong. It doesn't matter. It's about resource. When you have money and you're able to buy, I think it was The Godfather, one of these mobster movies, you know, the classical mobster movies. And I think The Godfather, he talks of how to actually rise in influence. He talks of getting the money first. First you get the money. And then with that money you buy politicians, you buy local cops, you buy judges, you buy lawyers. And eventually you'll rise in your status to the point where you're untouchable. So the issue is a financial issue. It's a financial incentive. At the very bottom of all of this is resources. So that's the reason why the British were so keen to serve the interests of the Rothschilds and the Zionist lobby. And the Prime Minister of Britain at that time, by the way, was David Lloyd George, who before being a Prime Minister was an advocate and a lawyer on behalf of the Zionist lobby. So imagine somebody like that becoming a Prime Minister. The conflict of interest is very clear. Yeah, so Sharif Hussein, on the other side of the equation, who was very loyal to the cause, who was working with T.E. Lawrence, who was doing the bidding of the British on the ground, he was a consumer, not an investor. He was receiving stipends. He was costing the British government money. They had to finance him. He wasn't financing the British. As we know in Islamic tradition, 𝗖𝙧𝙖𝙗𝙬 the hand above that's giving is better than the hand that's receiving. So if we want to overturn the situation today, we need to think on economic terms at least, how do we go from being the recipients to being the ones patronizing? Because once you can control that, you have more leverage with the political establishment. You have more leverage with those in power. Yeah.
We hear that, we hear it from the perspective of giving sadaqah, charity, but you can use that hadith in economics. It's like, be the country that gives, not the country that receives.
No, in everything. In everything.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, in everything. We're recipients of aid. We're recipients of grants and charities. We want always to receive. In the Muslim, I know about the Western Muslim experience in England. Whenever we begin, for the most part, a charity and initiative, the first recourse is, let's find a government grant. I've always been against that. I've always been against that. Because the spirit of Islam does not permit for us to be subservient to other people's finances. Once you have that mentality, that's the reason why you cannot speak haqq, because you have a fear of losing funding. You've been, from the very beginning, you've been castrated financially. You're not able to speak the truth anymore, because now the money coming in is coming from the person who you're supposed to speak the truth to, and you're not able to do it. So financial independence is absolutely essential for us. If we want to make a difference in the Palestinian cause, those who have the money have a stake. They can talk. Those who don't have the money can protest, can do as much as they like. It's on a moral basis, yes, it's true. They're doing the wrong things. They're on the wrong side of the moral spectrum, but it's not how the world works, you know. But we're going to discover that today, inshallah. We will discover how that works as well. Anything else before we begin? Anything else?
I just wanted to say there's a famous saying of the Rothschilds, gold is money, everything else is credit. So it's just something to keep in mind that when he was obviously putting out all these wars, he issued like national debt for everyone. And so that was what was paid by the taxpayer. But he got all the resources.
Yeah. I mean, gold has always been. It will always be. It will always be that way. Gold is real money. Okay, everything is fiat. Even
to this day, we're all still paying taxes, but the central banks are all the ones that have all the gold.
Even the gold is not enough, brother. It's not enough. It's fractional reserve banking. You're talking to somebody who's in the finance profession. If we all, what we call a run in the banks, if we all went to withdraw money, so I know in the UK, you can't withdraw more than a certain amount a day. There's a limit to how much you can take out physically from your bank account every single day, because there's not enough gold even to back the currency, the fiat currency we have today. It's fractional reserve. So it's an illusionary system, in fact. That's the reality, yeah. But again, there are those who have a greater stake in that, and they're able to make a bigger impact. You know, and to be somebody of influence in society, and the discussion we have in the group, 𝗾𝙗𝗫𝗏, it doesn't mean you have to have 100% control. It doesn't even mean you have to have 50% control. It doesn't mean all of that. If you look at the corporate model, we live in a capitalistic society and civilization for the most part. In any corporation, any stakeholder that has more than 5% share in a company is considered an institutional stakeholder. 5% is what you need to have to be considered a heavyweight and a heavy hitter. In any government, in any organization, 5%, that's all you need to have. Yeah. Once you reach a 5% stake in any organization, government, corporation, you are considered an institutional stakeholder, and your vote matters. The people in charge now have to turn to you and make sure that you are pleased, you're being taken care of. We can achieve a 5% stake in governments in the UK very easily. But as I said many times, it's not about activity, it's not about action, it's about coordination, it's about synchronicity. Yeah. Can we do something together at the same time? The impact will be huge. Even amongst us lay people, we have a little bit of money in our bank. If we can utilize some sort of organization, a strategic way of withdrawing money from certain banks, we can make a huge impact very, very easily. And, you know, we're in the month of Ramadan. And we know that synchronicity is, for me personally, one of the secrets of Ramadan. Allah has put in this month one of the secrets of Ramadan, that any person who is a ruler, a strategist, a political analyst, when you look at the Muslim world and how they have in this 1 month synchronicity, if that spirit of synchronicity was applied to other areas in our social discourse, in our political strategy, we would be unstoppable. Because we are 2 billion people after all. And if 2 billion people were to jump at the same time, the ripples around the world would be unbelievable. But the key and the secret to keeping us the way we are today is to keep us divided, disunited, disharmony. Some of us are running this direction, others this direction. Others are building, others are destroying. And so long as there's that dissonance, nothing will be achieved. So keep us divided, keep us always at war with one another. Not synchronized is where we end up being where we are today, weak and unable to do anything. So Ramadan is a lesson. Ramadan is a lesson, believe me. If we took the spirit of Ramadan, all right, guys, we can all eat and drink at the same time. Let's all abstain for a whole 30 days. Can we do that with a financial incentive? Can we do that with a military incentive? Can we do that with something else, educational incentive? We would be unstoppable. Unstoppable. But Allah knows best.
Welcome to 𝗏𝑆tory_𝗠, the world's leading online learning platform specializing in Islamic history. To discover the 𝗏𝗏story_𝗠 mobile app and participate in regular live and interactive seminars and tune in directly from your handset from anywhere in the world. Enjoy instant access to a growing catalog of on-demand streaming content exclusive to the platform, accessible from a variety of devices including desktops, tablets, and cell phones. Connect instantly with our global community of history enthusiasts via our private community forum. To find out more about our online history programs and resources, visit our website today at www.𝗏𝗏story_𝗠.com.